on? Welcome to TPL Live. The Sixers 1-0 versus the Wizards here. Game 1 of the Wizards-Sixers playoff series. Today, we are going to break down our top takeaways. We're going to break down our player of the games, do some grades. Joining me today is my man, Justin. You know him on Twitter at J_Persichetti. What's up, Justin?
Listen, man. Listen, I know I don't got the excited voice that our man Mr. Crockpot does, but man, was that a fun game to watch. Lots of ups and downs. But listen, we just won the first game of the playoffs, and I can't tell you how long we've been waiting for the playoffs. So let's fucking go, honestly.
Let's freaking go. We have a lot to talk about today, guys. If you guys are watching, please be sure to like this video. Please be sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, all that freaking stuff. Yes, Kevin, let's go. The Sixers are on the run to their NBA final since, I don't know when, 2001. Also joining us is my man Tiago at T_Scabby on Twitter. Tiago, how you doing, buddy?
Man, 10,000 people in this arena tonight. 10,000 or 11,000, whatever the number is. It felt like it was 50,000. The crowd was insane. It finally felt basketball was truly back in Philadelphia. It makes all the difference in the world. The Sixers have home court, and the East should be very, very, very scared about this because the Sixers are really tough to beat at home, especially in the fourth quarter. So
we have a lot. Where do we start? Tobias Harris's heroics. This comment here from Yams. The NBA refs trying to just take down the Sixers again and again and again. Do we talk about the difference, the tale of two halves? Shooting 3 of 17 from 3 in the first half, 8 of 16 from 3 in the second half. Really, Seth Curry and DG just, they were non-existent there in the first half. They dominated there in that second half. 18 points there in the second half. So much to talk about. Doc Rivers rotations. Let's start with Justin, man. What was one of your takeaways of today?
My honestly biggest takeaway was Tobias Harris, man. Yeah. Tobias Harris was just on one today, and it was from the beginning of the game. He kind of slowed down a bit towards the middle, but 37 points, career high in the playoffs, and you love to see that. You love to see it. Also with the fact that Tobias has struggled this year against Washington. I don't know what his numbers are off the top of my head, but I know he has struggled this year against Washington. So to see him come out early in the game, set the tone, and really just ride him out the whole game. I mean, he played how many minutes? He played 37 minutes and scored 37 points.
Yep. Tobias Harris was my key player of today's game. I dropped the video here. He was my number one key to today's game. 14 points a game. 43% from the field, 27% from 3, 49% true shooting percentage, 8 turnovers, tied for the most he had versus any other team in the NBA, shooting 8 of 21 versus Hachimura, Avdia, Davis Bertans. So Tobias Harris stepping up just kind of made me look good on that tweet a few hours ago. Tiago, what's one of your takeaways?
So the point on Tobias Harris, he finished with 15 field goals? I think that was his total for field goals. Are you losing me?
Yeah, you're good.
Can you guys hear me okay? I'm good? Yeah, so he finished with 15 field goals. He had 23 field goals all of the playoff series against Boston. 23. And he finished with 15 tonight. Can you guys hear me? Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, all right. So I thought he played out just a phenomenal game. For me, what I really liked today was in that third quarter. So when it was off that timeout, if you guys remember, the Washington was up 5 or 6. And the Sixers, man, they came out fired up after that timeout. And it started with Ben. Ben made a lot of good plays right off the timeout. Got the Sixers pace up, got them running on the court, getting a lot of easy 3-point looks right off the timeout. And a 5-point deficit ballooned to a 12-point lead in a matter of 3 to 4 minutes. And I thought that was really key for this team off the timeout to really establish their identity at home. I felt that in the first half, with the foul trouble with Joel, with all the stuff going around, with the Wizards, I felt that was a good way to reestablish, who you are as a team. And I thought that from then on out, the Sixers really played a strong game on both ends of the court, and it finished well in the fourth quarter.
Going back to Tobias, man, you saw it from the beginning. He had 6 points in the first quarter, directly 3 of 3 from the field. You saw a lot of turnaround jump shots. You saw him kind of locked in early on, and you saw him had 12 points in the first 12 minutes of the first quarter, 6 of 8 from the field. And then 5, what I love from Tobias Harris today was when Joel Embiid had that third personal foul. What did you see from Tobias Harris? 5 quick points. Bang, bang. You saw 5 quick points from Tobias. There was a point in the second quarter where Tobias Harris had 16 straight points for the Philadelphia 76ers. Tobias Harris was absolutely terrific. Now we've got my man, the host of the Tough Cover podcast, Marking Out with Mark. He is the Mark Henry Jr. Follow him on Twitter at Mark Henry Jr. _. What's up, Mark?
Clap your hands, everybody. How about them hitting that song early there? that was crazy. What a win, guys. I mean, it wouldn't be NBA playoff basketball, especially with the Sixers, if our blood pressure didn't rise a little bit, especially in game 1. But you just got to be happy to get that win out of the way.
We're right now just talking about our top takeaways. We talked about Tobias Harris. We talked a little bit about Ben. This is going to be a longer than usual podcast, I'm assuming. I'm assuming you're going to talk a little bit about Dwight. When you saw Dwight Howard enter the game, the Sixers are up 12-6. Howard enters the game, boom, 22-15 run on the Sixers. The Wizards are up with Dwight Howard on the court. Mark, what's one of your takeaways from today?
Yeah, that's if we're going negative, that's definitely the takeaway. But really, kind of, you guys were talking about it with Seth and Danny struggling up until halftime, and then how good they were in the second half. It's just evident that when we have certain guys who are not doing so well offensively, maybe like Ben Simmons in the second half, you have guys that step up in their roles and have that moment where they get hot for a couple minutes, and that's what's going to help us out down the stretch with all of these. This is the difference between this year's team and last year's team and the teams in the past. We have those guys in their roles who can step up and fill those roles. Even George Hill. I thought George Hill was fantastic in certain stretches of this game. He has such great touch around the rim for layups. It was an absolutely excellent performance from almost everyone on the team, I thought. Obviously, there are definitely some concerns and some takeaways, like Dives said. That first quarter run with Dwight Howard was something. It was like all of my nightmares that I've been talking about and annoying everyone with for the last 3 to 4 months about my anti-Dwight Howard crusade. It was like they were all coming true, and I was just melting down. I was getting so nervous, and it is still something I'm nervous about going forward, especially after a year of Ben, Matisse, and Dwight not working statistically. Doc Rivers goes to it in the first quarter. I was that too. Pulling my hair out.
Yep, I saw that too. As soon as I saw Ben Simmons, Matisse Thybulle, and Dwight Howard on the court at the same time, I was like, I did not expect that. I did not expect that lineup.
I'll give Doc credit, though. He did adjust and put Maxey on the court. And I thought the Shake's minutes to start were not good. And I thought, man, is he going to play Shake the entire game? And he adjusted. And I thought that was a good thing to see because Ish is a quick point guard, and you needed somebody quick to match, speed to speed. And I thought that was a good adjustment on his part.
Something real quick I wanted to say before we got off the point of the shooting and the role players was Furkan Korkmaz's performance tonight. For 4 minutes of play, I believe it was, and he went 0 for 3 in those minutes. It was that to me was one of the worst. That is you cannot do much worse than that in your first game of the playoffs for this year. He got 3 wide open looks and bricked them all.
That was like the storyline of the entire first half was the Sixers getting open shot after open shot. It kind of reminded me of that first game against the Washington Wizards to open up the regular season. You saw Danny Green really struggle. You saw open shot after open shot. They just could not hit. But just to quickly touch on the shooting here, the Sixers started the first quarter shooting 1 of 8 from 3. Seth Curry, Danny Green combined 0 for 1 there. They shot 3 of 17 from 3 in the second quarter, or overall in the first half. Seth Curry and DG combined 1 of 4 from 3 in the first half, and then they just really, truly took over there in the second half. The Sixers shot 5 of 9 from 3 in the third quarter. They shot 8 of 16 from 3 in the second half. Seth Curry and Danny Green in the third quarter combined for 42% of the Sixers offense. Seth Curry had 11 points in the quarter. Seth Curry and Danny Green combined for 16 points in the third quarter, and that was truly the biggest difference. Mark, any other takeaways of this game before we get into let's do player grades?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to make this a referendum on what is Ben Simmons, because God forbid. I really don't want to get too far into Ben Simmons, but it's pretty insane to see how amazing he was defensively as a passer, as a rebounder, and not turning the ball over, really managing the offense, and then just how terrible he was at the rim and at the free throw line. It is just baffling to see the extremes, because you see him on that last possession against Bradley Beal, and it's like, yeah, this is the best perimeter defender in the world. Like, how was Beal going to score on that possession while Ben was locked into him? He wasn't. And there's certain times where the other team doesn't even have a chance against him defensively. You would just like to see him make some layups. Like, there's some times where it's like, why not just dunk the ball, Ben? Like, I know that sounds like such the casual basketball fan, like, just go dunk the ball. Why doesn't LeBron dunk the ball 30 times a game? But it's just like sometimes when he's shooting a layup from 4 feet away, and you're doing so good in every other aspect of basketball, it's just it does get frustrating when he doesn't dunk the ball and when he doesn't get a layup and he shoots a hook shot fading away. There are so many frustrating things like that offensively, but you do really have to remind yourself, 15 assists, 2 turnovers, lockdown defense the entire game. He was a plus 18 today. Like, he is just a baffling player. Like, it's really hard to put him into a box or say where he ranks or say what he is definitively from game to game, because he's really the only player in the league that is the way he is. It's just crazy different type of player.
Thiago, any take on Ben Simmons today?
I mean, we've talked about Ben's offensive game for all year long. I mean, it's like you said, it's baffling. But I thought against a team like the Wizards, you can't turn the ball over because they're so fast and they kill in transition. And I thought Ben was very aware of that throughout the entire game. So, yes, it doesn't show up on the score sheet, but the passing, not having the turnovers, those things matter in a big way. And defensively, man, like, Bradley Beal is in for a war. Like, that was nothing easy tonight for Bradley Beal between Tease and Ben. Yeah. These guys, man, they make it really tough on their star players.
What was your take on Ben Simmons, Justin?
Oh, I was going to say Ben Simmons. As much as people want to be upset, like, as much as it's frustrating to talk about the offensive game, he is the reason why when Embiid went down to me, or not went down, I should say, when Embiid got into foul trouble and was out for the majority of the first half of this game, he's the reason why they were stuck in this game defensively and with getting the ball around. 2 guys like Tobias Harris, 2 guys like Seth Curry, who just was going off tonight from everywhere. So I just think overall, as much as, like I said, you want to be upset about the offensive game, 15 assists, 15 rebounds, that's crazy. From a point guard. Like you guys all said, 2 turnovers.
One more point on that. Like, that Ben tip rebound that he does now, like, that's a real thing, man. Mm-hmm. Like, he has such length and kind of reach to do that. Like, that's become a real weapon for the Sixers. They get a lot of offensive rebounds off that, and they got a couple late in the game tonight.
But that's what happens when you don't have Josh Richardson and Al Horford in your starting lineup. Like, when you can have Joel Embiid making 50-60% of his mid-range shots, and you have everybody else who can shoot 40% from 3 in your starting lineup around him, Ben Simmons can be down around the rim doing that stuff and being efficient with it. Yeah. So I just think that I think everyone needs to sit there and appreciate what they just saw today.
All right, we can't go to player grades because I'm surprised no one brought this up, but we have to talk about the refs. We have to talk about the refs before we get into player grades. You saw a baffling offensive call there in the first quarter on Joel Embiid. There were multiple times where you saw him just fading out. Not his hands were up. He didn't even touch Alex Len, and Alex Len looks like Dario Saric or Ersan Ilyasova just like flailing, and the refs bailing him out every single time. You saw it again with Ben Simmons. You saw, I think, Russell Westbrook pushing him off the ball and the refs calling him for a foul. Let's start off with Justin. Like, what was your take on the refs, and how much should we truly, get upset about this?
I mean, I think you'd be more upset about it if we lost. Like, if we lose this game or Embiid is seriously like, let's think about this. If Embiid was not as good of a defender or smart enough defender as he actually is, this would have been a much tougher game to watch, I think, because not a lot of centers are capable of making it through the rest of a game when having 3 personal fouls. Like, if you really think about that, like, not a lot of centers are able to not do that. Look at Dwight Howard, who's a great defender. He gets near 6 fouls every game, it seems like. Like, as much as it drove me nuts, to get back to the topic, as much as it drove me nuts, I'm not too upset with it because I understand there's a lot of stuff that refs have to do, and this is a very tense time. But it is fucked up.
This is like one of those wins, at least on just as a player standpoint, I honestly believe that this is one of those wins where everything went the Wizards' way there for the majority of this game. This was a demoralizing loss for the Wizards, much more than the box score indicates. What about you, Tiago? What was your take on the refs tonight?
Yeah, I mean, the refs are terrible. I mean, they've been terrible all year. I mean, the NBA refs are embarrassment. The reviews, the stuff that we see, it's embarrassing. But the key point to take away here is that, like, in the postseason, it's not going to be easy. Like, things are going to come hard, and it's going to be tough. And you have to endure. You have to fight through it. And the Sixers, man, like, when you have your best player in the bench for a 7-8 minute run, you have to survive. And the Sixers survived tonight, which is a sign of good things to come in the future. So, you ask Tobias to do more. You ask Ben to do more. Curry steps up. DG steps up. So the takeaway for me is that, the Sixers endured a horribly officiated game. And they're going to be more in the future. Like, that's not going to change, man. It's the way the NBA is structured moving forward. Just the way it is.
What about you, Mark?
Yeah, I was watching the game with my dad, and his whole thing is that the NBA rigs these games to be close at the end, and I always yell at him that that's not how it is. But with this game, it really was hard to understand why Joel Embiid got those 3 foul calls that he did in the first half if they weren't trying to keep the game close. I don't believe in that kind of conspiratorial stuff at all generally, but it was a really badly officiated game for pretty much the entirety of the game. And I know that we shouldn't be taking, and I'm not saying that the refs should be taking who they're calling the fouls on into consideration, but let's just have a real conversation here. The NBA ratings were massively down this season, massively down, and they've been up so far to start the play-in, and hopefully that's a continuation. Hopefully the playoffs are more highly rated, but people don't want to see Joel Embiid sitting for half of a playoff game.
Right.
So let's actually.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Well, yeah, if we blow him out.
Sitting for half
if we blow him out. I'm saying the casual basketball fan is tuning into the Sixers game because they want to watch Joel Embiid play. So if he's going to legitimately foul people, if he has 3 legitimate fouls, that's fine. Call it on him. But you're going to call 2 ticky-tack, nonsense foul calls in the second quarter of a game and completely change the complete landscape of the game because, like I was talking about earlier, we can't play our second best player with our backup center to our best player. So it's just funny after years of the national media and years of the people telling us that Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid couldn't play together. Now it's like they have to play together because Ben Simmons and Dwight Howard are untenable. And it's Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid are almost a hockey shift at this point, and that's how it has to be. So I'm happy all the national TV pundits got that one right, that Ben and Joel couldn't play together. Now they're on the first place team, and they have to play together. But no, seriously, that's the only reason that the officiating affected my opinion of the game. Obviously, there were crazy stuff in the second half. Like you said, Ben Simmons got pushed down. Like, there was even that charge call I thought was questionable. There were a lot of questionable calls. Russell Westbrook gets a review for stepping out of bounds 30 seconds after we didn't get a review for what looked like a very close play. So all of those things were annoying, but the most annoying thing was forcing us out of the Joel Embiid minutes and forcing us to have to figure out what we have to do. And maybe that's a bonus. Maybe that's something that Doc will understand going forward, that he has to play Hill and Maxey with Dwight in the minutes that Joe's out. Hopefully he uses this as something going forward. But that was the main reason that I got so frustrated. Those Embiid calls in the first half were just
brutal,
ridiculous.
You saw the ball movement just drop, absolutely drop the second he came off the court. And kudos to Tobias Harris, who I can't express enough how many times this guy has stepped up over and over and over again. There was a point in that third quarter where the Wizards had an offensive foul, and I remember Mark Zumoff like freaking out during the broadcast that an offensive foul. It was so funny, but it was just garbage. It was absolute garbage. Does anybody else have any other takeaways? I kind of want to talk about Matisse a little bit. Does anyone want to talk about Matisse?
I would like to talk about Matisse, but I do want to make one little bit more takeaway about the Joel Embiid stuff. With specifically with his minutes played today. Obviously, it has to do a lot with the fouls, but he played 29 minutes, and typically, I think last season he averaged 36. In just the fact that I understand we don't want to see him on the court, we don't want to see him off the court, obviously, but I'm completely okay with him being off the court. If I'm on, him getting rest and us still winning games, I'm cool with. My
anxiety is not cool with it. My anxiety is 100% not cool with it.
But here's the thing, though, Justin.
But bodily health.
Justin, here's the thing, though, on that. Like, you can't have Joel in foul trouble and not play Ben. Like he's saying with the hockey shift, you can't have that, man. Like, you have to have your best player out there when your second best player out there when your best player is not out there. So the Sixers, man, they got a little tricky with those minutes in the second quarter.
Well, that's why you saw Tobias Harris playing the amount of minutes he did, because although their second best player is most likely Ben Simmons, their second best offensive player is Tobias Harris, and I think that's why you saw him play 37 minutes today.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's talk a little bit about Matisse Thybulle before we get into our player of the game. Let's talk about Matisse Thybulle. What I think was like kind of the shock here was Matisse was the first in over George Hill, over Shake Milton. He was the first sub to go into this game. We saw him defending Russell Westbrook, but I think his mark in this game was in that third quarter where his defense was absolutely outrageous. He blocked Bradley Beal. He then deflected a pass, which led to a foul. Then he steals a ball in the corner over Bradley Beal. You could really feel his defensive impact, at least from the fans. You could see him drawing so much energy from the fans. Every time Bradley Beal had that ball in his hands, Matisse Thybulle was there, and it was just electric. It was electric. I'm going to throw this one to Mark. What was your thoughts on Matisse Thybulle tonight?
I'm actually a little bit on the other side. He definitely had a really good 5-minute run in the third quarter, like you were talking about. And that one where he tipped it away, and then Joel's diving over the court, and Joel immediately hits the crowd with the give it to me motion. But that was a really fun couple minutes. But the fact that he went 0 points on 13 minutes and was a -5 and was definitely in there for. I know that part of that is not his fault. I don't blame Matisse for a lineup with Dwight Howard and Matisse and Ben not working. I think we know that's just a condition of those types of players. But I don't blame him for that. But this is something that concerns me in a Brooklyn series or a Milwaukee series, just that he is a little bit of an absolute negative on offense in just terms of standing there. But defensively, there's no arguing about how insanely impactful he is defensively.
I do want to throw this comment's hilarious by Yams. Yeah. Can we talk about how much we hate beer tons?
That guy is so annoying.
Yeah, I think the thing that's most annoying with it is the fact that he can shoot it anywhere, shoot it over anyone, and he gets it off like that. And it's just you can't do much. It's just like Matisse is running around with him. He's giving him problems. It's like
he's a Sixers killer for sure. I do want to say another thing off the box score. There was a period in that third quarter where Bradley Beal, I'm doing a horror movie podcast in 15 minutes. And we're going to be talking about Jordan Peele. That's probably where it came from. But anyway, yeah, right. But anyway, there was a part where Bradley Beal was absolutely exhausted at the free throw line. Did anybody see that? Where he was just sucking wind. You could tell that Matisse Thybulle and Bradley Beal were going at it, and Bradley Beal was just wiped out in that third quarter. There's a period of time in that second half when the Wizards started to lose their legs. Every single shot hit the front of the rim. I think a big part of that was Matisse. Thiago, what was your take on Matisse?
Well, I had a similar take as Mark on Matisse. I didn't think it was his best game, and I think that the injury that he had before the end of the regular season, he just got to work himself back into the rhythm of the offense, and his shot particularly, which was coming around before the injury, I think he'll be fine. It wasn't his best game, but the point on Beal, which I thought is a very interesting one, is the fact that like the Sixers have so much length on the perimeter. And if you watch his feet when he's moving around, like he cannot set his feet. Every time he catches the ball, there's a hand there or there's a guy in his face. So he's got to reset, reshuffle, move. And that over time, Chris, like it has a compounding effect on how tired you are towards the end of the game. So Ben's defense, Matisse's defense on Bradley Beal, it's exhausting, man. Like these guys have to work for every single shot. It's insane. Absolutely insane.
I will say with that on Matisse Thybulle guarding Bradley Beal, the fact that Bradley Beal is still able to get a nice 33 on 23 shots with that kind of defense, obviously we chased him off the 3-point line really well. He only went 1 for 6 from 3. So he really his best shots were getting off in the mid-range and at the rim, but like to me that's so impressive. Like all of our defense we have the best rated defense in the league or second best rated defense in the league. And all of that best rated defense is going at Bradley Beal and he's still able to shoot at that efficient. It's insane.
The one thing I'll say about that, just in terms of Matisse on Beal and Ben on Beal, Beal was getting into it with some fans. Beal was angry that whole game. You could tell they got under Beal's skin. Even when Ben launched the 3 at the end of the third quarter, Beal did a whole like doing this to his fans, like in the front row, like after Ben shot it. He was not happy in that third and fourth quarter, and he was talking to the refs every single time. And I watch a lot of the Wizards. Bradley Beal is not really the type of guy that does that all the time. It's like, not that I know of. So I was shocked to see that he was kind of doing that and not Russ, because we all came in, expecting Joel Embiid, Russell Westbrook fireworks, and maybe we have 3 games left, or maybe more, to see if that'll happen. But I was shocked to see that Beal was kind of like the instigator, kind of the guy going back and forth with the fans, more so than Russ or Bertans was doing the same thing too.
I think to me what I saw, because I know exactly what you're talking about. I saw the same things, and to me it was. Obviously, we know the reputation of Matisse Thybulle around the league at this point and the reputation Thybulle has with the Sixers fan base. So anytime Thybulle is guarding another team's best player, the fan base is going nuts. And, of course, Beal scored on him once. I think he scored on him once or twice in like a certain just series of events happening pretty closely together, and he scored on him on Thybulle. And the fan base obviously was like, ugh. And he was like, yeah. Like, I don't know. It seemed like Beal was going at Thybulle in that way.
We need to talk about Russell Westbrook, though. Fourth quarter Westbrook.
God,
that was like 7 or 8 bricks in a row, man. He was like, my man, stop shooting.
The turnaround off the backboard shot he has is just straight terrible.
Oh,
terrible, man.
I mean, if I'm Bradley Beal, I'm like, I'm working for this. Like, I'm running around so I get this guy to throw all these bricks up in the air. What's going on, man?
Yo, it's so funny too, because before the game started, that was the shot he was working on a ton. Like before the game started, I saw some recording of him just shooting bank shots right from the baseline area. Like I was like,
he was shooting them, Justin.
No. Right? He was shooting them. You're right. He was shooting them, but he was making them before the game.
All right. This comment real quick. Let's touch on this comment. Did you guys talk about George Hill? Because I thought he was wildly impressive here, especially in the first half. He came in, got minutes over Shake Milton. You saw him facilitating the offense. He had a huge 3. He had 5 points in a minute in that first quarter, which was major when there was so much chaos happening. George Hill, what did he finish with? He finished
11 points.
11 points in 18 minutes. Let's start off with Mark. What was your take on George Hill?
He's a professional basketball player, man. He just does certain things when you watch him out there. He fills in the gaps. He just does things that a veteran should be able to do. Every time a team trades for a veteran at the deadline, everyone's like, oh, that's a nice veteran leadership, a nice veteran presence on the floor. And most of the time I kind of roll my eyes at that. And I even kind of rolled my eyes at that a little bit when people were talking about that with George Hill. But when you watch him game in and game out, and especially in a game like tonight, that's exactly what he is. He's just a professional basketball player. You watch how he's the layups around the rim, the defense, the transition defense. He just does every small thing, and it ended up resulting in a pretty productive game today. today, and really a couple of those, like 11 points isn't all that many, 5 field goals, but it felt like they all came in important moments where it was like, oh, we need a bucket. And George Hill gets a layup and a backdoor cut. George Hill hits a 3. It all came when it felt like we needed it.
There was a dime by Ben Simmons to George Hill at the bucket. I was like, man, if that's what we get from Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith, we're going to be looking really nice. Because that's the first thing I thought. Thiago, any thoughts on George Hill?
I think that's it. I think just being an established veteran, understanding not to turn the ball over in critical moments. Shake Milton is the complete opposite of that. He can give you the 25-point outing, but the 10 turnover game. So you got to be able to balance that in the playoffs. He does that. And like Mark said, the cutting off the ball and Joel's ability to see that, understand where the double team is coming from. I thought Joel was fantastic recognizing double team today. Fantastic. Made every right decision. Didn't turn the ball over in the pressure. So those things with a guy who understands where to be on the court, that's lethal offense, man. Like that's what the Sixers need. So,
Dustin.
Oh my goodness, George Hill. You guys honestly kind of covered everything I was going to say about George Hill, but I really want to get into Seth Curry a little bit. Can we talk about Seth Curry?
Yeah.
So Seth Curry, the biggest thing that I noticed today and I mean, I noticed it all season, but even more so with the energy of the fans and everything like that today. It reminded me of JJ Redick in the sense of like when in the moment of like high intense situation or high intensity, the fan intensity is building up, and then he hits a shot like right at the peak of it, and it just keeps it going. We didn't get that last year. Like, think about the fact Furkan Korkmaz was what they tried to have. That was who the Sixers tried to have be that guy last year. And so now this year you're having Seth Curry as a guy who's kind of like the hit. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. Like
you have real momentum.
Like momentum. Momentum is the exact word I'm trying to look for. The momentum shift. Or the momentum's gaining and raising. Then he hits a shot and it's like, whoa! Like I miss that. And so watching Seth Curry do that and just like freak out and get into it with the crowd, because you see that he was yelling and everything with the crowd and like getting into it. It's just so fun to me. That's what I love about sports. I love that momentum building, and he does that. I love it.
Yeah, he started cooking there in that third quarter. You could tell his confidence came back. Like ever since, I think he like bricked a wide open 3. It was like social distancing out there for the Sixers 3-point shooters. Like no one was within 6 feet of them, and they couldn't hit a fucking thing. And then Ben Simmons gets the offensive board and boom, gets it to Seth, and it was just a complete night and day there in the second half. Let's roll on here to our player. Go ahead, Mark.
Real quick, Doc Rivers just had a really funny quote. I don't know if anyone saw it.
What did he say?
Well, whatever. Doc Rivers says he can't believe there were only 10, 11,000 people at the game because it was so loud. Quote, I think we're counting like the Republicans. That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. Whatever your political party or affiliation is.
I'm not going to I am just so happy playoff basketball is back. This was a statement game for the Philadelphia 76ers, considering everything that went wrong there in the first half, the refs, you name it. It was just absolutely a terrific win, top to bottom. Let's talk about player of the game. Lead us off, Justin. Who is your player of the game?
My player of the game, I got to go Tobias Harris. I think it's more than obvious, and the guy was just a workhorse tonight. Like we said before, 37 points on 37 minutes, 15 for 29 from the field. He had 2 steals as well, a plus 50. Or what was he? He was only a +2, which is not great, but you play 37 minutes, your plus minus might go down a little bit. Just an insane game by him. 37 points, 37 minutes. You got to love it.
Thiago.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be Tobias Harris, and I'll go a step further. I don't think Washington can defend him. When they go with that small 3-guard lineup, that usually means a guy like Rui Neto is out there defending him. That's no good. They try Rui a lot of times, Rui Hachimura. That's no good. Bradley Beal can't defend a soul. So, like those, you start going down their line, man. Like you start running out of options. Who can defend Tobias Harris? So I expect Tobias to have a massive playoff series, which is a great sign because he can build on that, take it into the next series, and eventually take it in the Eastern Conference Finals. So it's a great start for Tobias. He's a guy who the Sixers need to do a lot of scoring, and he was absolutely phenomenal tonight in front of the home fans, which is even better.
You're up, Mark.
Just a quick note before I get my player of the game. Chris Paul went down with a shoulder injury in his back.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Dude, I love
news.
Chris Paul. That sucks.
Yeah, it's terrible news. But I'm actually, just because you guys are going Tobias, Tobias is obviously the player of the game. He had his best game as a Sixer, maybe. But I'll just, because of how important I think it showed how he is. Joel Embiid, to me, is the player of the game just because in the limited minutes, in the 29 minutes, he still had 30 and 6, 3 assists. He did a great job, like Tiago said, at noticing the double teams, passing out of it, not turning the ball over. I thought he was fantastic on defense, like Justin said, after he got those fouls and had to play smart. He just did everything he needed to do in the limited time he was on the court. And then in the time he was off the court, you saw how much we needed him to be on the court. So I think that today was just a reminder again and again that Joel Embiid is the most valuable player to his team in the NBA, whatever the fat guy in Denver that makes pretty passes wants to say. Whatever, how he played 20 more games, yada, yada, yada.
Hot take.
Lost game 1 by 14. But so I just want to say that's he's the most valuable player to his team in the league. Joel Embiid, he's the player of the game, even if he wasn't. I'm still saying he was.
Joel Embiid had back-to-back buckets there with 2 minutes remaining, 19 points in the second half. Massive. Absolutely massive, as much as DG and Seth, flipped the switch there in the second half.
Chris,
yeah, go ahead.
That's what MVP guys do, man. It's as simple as that. I mean, we can talk about Jokic, and he's had a phenomenal year. The guy's a great player, but that's what MVP guys do, man. So, voters are going to vote Jokic probably the MVP, and you got to live with the consequences, man.
MVPs don't lose by 14 at home to Portland.
Right.
That's what they don't do. But whatever.
Right, yeah.
And don't get mad at me, but I'm going Matisse. I'm 100% going Matisse Thybulle here.
Oh, I'm not mad at that.
The fact that you saw Bradley Beal sucking wind there in that third quarter, he was exhausted. That has so many implications there moving forward when we get into round 2, when we get into the Brooklyn Nets series. That is so important that you have another guy like Ben Simmons that can just wear out a star player on the defensive end. Quick team grades. How did the Sixers do? Lead us off, Mark. How would you grade this performance?
With Joel in the game, it's an A, and without him in the game, it's like a D. So probably like a B minus, B maybe, B plus. I don't know, somewhere in that B range because he played more minutes than he didn't. So somewhere like B minus.
What about you, Tiago?
Yeah, I'll give him a B. I think Washington's a tricky matchup. I don't think Washington is the type of matchup that you will see in the playoffs from teams like Brooklyn or even Atlanta. They just play a pacey, fast, transition type offense, and you're not going to get that from like a team like Brooklyn. They like to slow down and play half-court offense. So, it's tricky to grade, but I give them a solid B.
Justin.
Yeah, I'm gonna go A minus. They fought against adversity the whole game. They were able to break through Joel Embiid being out for most of the first half, or most of the end of the first half, I should say. So it's just, honestly, I think it's an A minus. They kicked ass and they did what they need to do to get it done.
This was that win that was so much more than that box score W. You saw everything went the Wizards' way. From the refs, from the inability to shoot threes for the Sixers. And I continue to go back from Tobias Harris when Joel Embiid had 3 personal fouls. The team was in shambles, and boom, 5 quick points. Boom, 16 straight points from Tobias. This was a game that how many times have we seen this season when, either, Joel Embiid's not playing, the team just quits, and they look like they're not even trying. This was a game that I think that the Sixers can do it when Joel Embiid's not playing, and I think that this means so much for their chemistry. I'm going to give them a solid. I'm with you, Justin. I'm going A minus. I'm going A minus for how much fight this team showed, and for how everything was kind of. I know they're home, and I know they had the fans, but so much was on their back there at times in this game. They could have easily folded, and the big 3 truly shined here in this game. I know Ben didn't score that much, but his defense was terrific. Tobias Harris was unbelievable. Joel Embiid led you to a win. I'm going A-. I'm good. Let's roll and finish with plugs and final thoughts. Justin.
Yeah, I mean, go follow me on Twitter if you're not already. It's right there at J_Persichetti. And we appreciate you coming and watching. We appreciate you watching if you're here. Like the video, subscribe.
Tiago.
Final thoughts is one of 16, so buckle in, man. It's going to be a fun ride.
Yes, sir.
And plugs, yeah, Chris and I are working through Sixers draft targets. Make sure to check that out. We do like a weekly series, a bunch of guys who think the Sixers should draft. We did a couple fun ones this week, and more to come.
What up, Trey Smith? Or Trey Murphy? Oh my God.
Trey Murphy.
Trey Murphy.
Trey Murphy.
Mark.
His dad's gonna unfollow you now. You got the name wrong.
Man.
No, I'm just joking. I'm
sorry,
just joking.
Dad. Sorry.
I can't wait to join you guys. I'm starting to kind of parse out some draft things. I have a couple guys I like here and there. Not quite in the Sixers range yet. A little more at the top.
Yeah.
But follow me at Mark Henry Jr. _ on Twitter, and follow at Tough Cover Pod on Twitter.
All right, guys. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll be here Wednesday night for our post-game show. Sixers get the W, 1-0 Sixers. Let's get to the NBA Finals. For Mark, for Tiago, for Justin, we're going to finish off with a word from our sponsor. Stay awesome, everyone. Hey, what's up, guys? MLB baseball is in full swing. The NBA and NHL playoffs are right around the corner, and the NFL season is mere moments away. While we here at the Painted Lines are devoted to bringing you top-notch content from all the major sports, we are excited to also now give you the opportunity to cash in on all that content and knowledge. If you follow the link below, you will have the opportunity to sign up with BetRivers, an online sportsbook, and get an instant new user deposit match of up to $250. That's free money that you can use and try to turn into more free money. Let's go. Don't sit there and waste all that money. Turn every basket into an otherwise meaningless Cavs-Timberwolves matchup in on a random Wednesday in March. That makes it all the more exciting. For betting tips and advice, be sure to check out written content from our top prognosticator, Money Max, on our website at thepaintedlines.com, or check out the Tough Cover podcast right here on the Painted Lines YouTube channel. You've seen the commercials all over TV and radio, but now is the time. Sign up today with BetRivers using the link below and start cashing in on your love for sports. Using the link below will automatically inform BetRivers that TPL sent you, and you'll get that new